Coming up on KUJH, find out what to do in the event of an emergency on KU's campus.
Also, local bars are seeing an increase in fake IDs. One bar talks on how they're becoming more difficult to detect.
And a look into the rise of catalytic converter thefts at local auto repair shops and among Lawrence residents. No.
Live from the studio in Stauffer Flint at the University of Kansas, you're watching KUJH News.
Welcome to KUJH. I'm Marlon Martinez.
And I'm Bella Line. A class has resumed this week for students at Michigan State after a gunman opened fire on campus last week.
Michigan State University students and employees are getting some love from some special four-legged friends in the aftermath of last week's shooting. As students returned to classes Monday, therapy dogs were made available in the school's library. It's one of many mental health services available to students, staff, faculty, and other members of the community to help them process the tragedy. Last week, we learned that a gunman had opened fire in 2 campus buildings, killing 3 students and critically injuring 5 others before turning the gun on himself.
Campus safety is a growing concern after 3 students were killed and 5 were injured when a gunman opened fire at Michigan State University.
KUJH's Kyle Mathis talked with the people tasked with safety on the KU campus to find out how they are preparing for the unthinkable.
School shootings have increased significantly in the 21st century, according to numbers from the Washington Post. Most recently at Michigan State, where 3 students died following a shooting on that campus just last week. That has local students thinking about their safety.
You definitely think about it. I think we'd all be lying if we said we haven't thought, oh, what would I do if I were put into that situation? So it's definitely on the mind every once in a while, for sure.
In an active shooter situation, every second matters. Campus police officers and security play a vital role in keeping students and campus safe in a situation like that.
So our guys train for active shooter response. There's different platforms of training out there. We use Alert, which is through the federal government. That's the way we train. We also do county-wide exercises because obviously when something this happens, it's not going to be just a one department response. It's going to be multiple departments from around here, Lawrence Police Department, Douglas County. As soon as that comes out, they would come.
The Personal and Family Protection Act passed in 2015 allows individuals over the age of 21 to carry a firearm for their own protection. That can be a tricky balance between personal protection and campus regulations.
At the start of the year, when you get a syllabus for a class, there's a whole section in every syllabus that students have the right to conceal carry. And so I feel like that's one of the main things that would make me feel unsafe.
Although shootings unfortunately continue in our country, there are still practices that can be put into place by each individual that can protect them and prepare them for potential situations like that.
So if you notice, most of these people have posted rhetoric or things that are showing that there's a possible threat. So if people notice that on social media and stuff, obviously bring it to our attention. Even the FBI takes that stuff serious, and they have a hotline to report things like that. That would be the main thing if somebody's showing concerning behavior and stuff, to bring it to somebody's attention.
Important ways to protect yourself and the people around you in the hope of preventing further gun violence. Kyle Mathis, KUJH News.
Another way to protect yourself in that situation is the run, hide, and fight method.
Yeah, you can run if you have the chance, hide if you are unsure, or fight if it means saving your life.
Underage students who are determined to drink will go to some extreme and illegal measures to get their hands on alcohol.
Yeah, and I spoke with a local bar because fake IDs are becoming a bigger concern and hard to detect, and they are challenging it.
Absolutely.
The nightlife and alcohol can be a powerful temptation for underage college students. Bar bouncers in Lawrence are seeing a spike in fake IDs.
In a college town specifically, there's going to be people who attempt to get into bars with fake IDs.
And Matthew Kennedy, Leroy's bar general manager, says they're getting even harder to detect.
Kind of as we've gone along, fake IDs have gotten a lot better in recent years especially.
Bars and pubs in Lawrence have become a hot spot for many students looking for a night out. Anna Dunce, a student at the University of Kansas, says having a fake ID taught her some valuable lessons.
I think was totally worth it because I learned how to handle my alcohol. I learned how to handle like social circumstances. I learned more about myself through being able to have those experiences.
But Lawrence Deputy Chief James Struan says you might want to think twice before using a fake ID.
If found guilty, it's anywhere from up to $1,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail.
And as real as your fake ID might look, Kennedy says it's not even worth it trying to get in.
Just don't give it a go.
And Deputy Chief Druin says with spring break right around the corner, they'll be monitoring bars a little extra careful.
Many students have already started searching for housing for next school year, with deadlines coming up fast to sign new leases.
And many of those students are finding out that they are going to have to spend more for a place to call home.
While the perfect place can take a while, what isn't taking long to figure out is that costs associated with rent, utilities, and other living expenses are on the rise. Costs are always a concern for renters, and Lawrence monthly rent has increased at places such as the Connections, with rent running roughly $500 a month for a single room and a 4-person suite. Other apartments cost roughly the same, hovering around that $500 mark depending on added accommodations and renter's insurance. Despite housing costs slightly trending upwards, places such as the Nest still feel confident about getting people into rooms, telling us demand is still quite high all around.
Prices go up every year across the border, not just here, but across all of our competitors. It's just something to expect each year with inflation. Property taxes always increasing, so we see a rent increase every year. Also, doing tiered pricing with price and demand. Basically, as we sell out of beds, our prices do go up.
Students will continue to search for affordable apartments over the next several weeks, just ahead of deadlines to finalize fall leases.
According to State Farm, their customers have reported over 40,000 stolen catalytic converters in 2022.
Auto repair shops in Lawrence are seeing dozens of catalytic converter thefts, an essential and expensive part of every vehicle. KUJH's Catherine Galliani has more on the story.
The catalytic converter is a pollution control device used to modify unburned fuel like hydrocarbons and carbon dioxide to change those into compounds that are better for the environment. The catalytic converter improves the efficiency of your car, and your car cannot run without it. We're here at Don's Auto Shop, one of the only car shops in Lawrence willing to assist you with you and your catalytic converter needs. Your car part may cost thousands. Here's more on the story. The theft of your car's catalytic converter takes an experienced thief minutes, but could take hundreds of dollars to repair.
They're probably not there more than 2 minutes tops. It doesn't take long to cut through the pipe. They'll cut through in front of the converter, behind the converter, then use the Sawzall to cut the wiring to the oxygen sensor, and away they go.
Fortunately for victims of theft, there are only a handful of auto repair shops in town that offer assistance and replacement for catalytic converters. And a lot of times, Lawrence residents are left with more than just their converter gone.
They nabbed my car and they took laptops, drone, all of our power tools, everything we needed.
And the thieves usually don't come alone.
The police came in, they believe it was part of a group of people who run from KC all the way from Oklahoma, and they just hit towns.
Certain cars are specifically targeted for their easy-to-grab converters and sold to pawn shops for car parts.
It depends entirely on the car. I think the latest one we had was maybe 2-3 weeks ago. They kind of come in rashes. I don't know if there's organized groups that are hitting cars at certain times. It's fairly common, unfortunately, and it can be terribly expensive depending on the model of car. I don't think we've seen one yet that's less than a $1,000 bill.
And the victims of these thefts are left with not only an expensive bill, but the feeling of having been violated.
In reality, once it happened, it just felt weird to drive around in the car because it felt like somebody else had been in my car. I mean, there was literally nothing in the car at all.
This is Catherine Galliani reporting for KUJHNews. Back to you, Bella and Marlon in the studio.
Thank you, Catherine.
Now let's head on over to Halen for a first look at what's to come in the weather. Halen?
Well, you certainly want to be prepared for what's to come in the next 24 hours, even though today we finally get to enjoy some 60s and 60s for the last couple of days, although we are tracking a cold front that is moving right at the moment. Right now you can see those clearing out further to the west and going to be looking like we'll have a really nice sunset, but clouds are going to continue to clear out once that cold front continues to push out. All the rain we had this morning pushing well off to the east, and even saw a few severe thunderstorm warnings in parts of St. Louis, as well as a couple tornado warnings, and it's all associated with this dynamic system we're keeping an eye on. But again, temperatures, they are dropping out there. We're still at 64 here in Lawrence, but just a few miles away in Topeka, we are already at 49 degrees, and it is getting windier as well. It's been a windy day today. They still have those south-southwest winds still blowing at about 10 miles per hour, but it is going to be shifting to a northwest wind, and so as mentioned before, temperatures, they are going to just drop, nosedive for this evening, and eventually we're going to be talking about temperatures getting into the 20s for this evening. But it's not all doom and gloom though. We are still going to be tracking a warmer weekend ahead for us, and then maybe another round of some showers and maybe some severe storms as well, but we'll talk more about that coming up.
Thank you, Halen. And when we come back, we'll take you to the KU Field Station for a closer look at a new program that's making science more accessible to the public.
And Lawrence school boards are discussing recommendations for possible school closures.
From adversity, we rose. We made history and became pioneers, voyagers, champions, Jayhawks. And when our chant rises, haunting and hallowed, Jayhawks are telling the world what's near. Victory.
Welcome back to KUJH.
Science is all around us, but how often do we get the chance to explore it up close and personal? KUJH's Sam Goldman has the inside scoop on a new program and its impact on the community.
That's right, Marlon. Science Sundays are a monthly event at the KU Field Station with the goal of bringing science closer to the community.
The KU Field Station is a protected nature zone used to do research critical to addressing environmental changes. Now, thanks to a new program called Science Sundays, the station is more accessible than ever before.
Short-term goals for me are making sure that our community knows the field station is here and finding another way to access science and being outside.
Wendy Holman, Education Program Coordinator for the KU Field Station, says her job is to bring more people to the station, and Science Sundays are just one way she's accomplishing that.
So I'm working on K through 12 programming, public programming, so things like Science Sundays, which we just did, and also working on getting together a group of volunteers and maybe some docents in the future.
Science Sundays are a series of monthly talks for the general public to learn more about science. This month, PhD candidate Laura Podjakowski presented her research on the carbon cycle. Podjakowski says it's exciting to witness firsthand Science Sunday's impact on public engagement with the field station.
And since Wendy has started here and since these events have started, it's very rare that I come here and the gate's shut and there aren't cars here, you know? And it's kind of exciting to see this many people engaging with the field station.
Which it will get too hot and the soils will get too dry.
Sam Goldman reporting for KUJH News.
And the KU Beekeeping Club will be joining in on the fun next month. Back to you, Marlon.
Thanks, Sam. And with kids back in school post-pandemic and resources stretched thin, the Lawrence School District is looking to make some changes in funding. Some of those proposed cuts include possible school closures.
These proposed changes come after months of deliberation among the Lawrence School Board and the District Futures Planning Committee. KUJH's Dana Nazar has the details.
With the spring semester in full swing, the Lawrence School Board is looking to finalize decisions on the district budget for the 2023-2024 academic year. The Futures Planning Committee is a 40-member group of district faculty and budget advisors assigned by the district to assess and make recommendations about how to focus funding on top priority items, such as competitive staff wages, allocating funds for cost increase, and increasing cash balances for the district. Among the many recommendations made by the committee, the most controversial proposal is the closure of 2 elementary schools and the repurposing of 1 middle school. Julie Boyle, the district's executive communications director, says the drop in enrollment in the past couple of years is the cause of the drop in state funding for the district, since enrollment plays a large role in how much money the district will receive each year.
Have to make some changes if we're not going to have as much money as we currently have to educate kids. What can we do differently to continue to afford operating our schools?
The Futures Planning Committee used a method of rating schools in the district, accounting the condition of buildings, the size and amount of teaching spaces, ADA access spaces, and specialized program spaces. After conducting the study, the committee provided composite scores rating each of the schools. Woodlawn Elementary, New York Elementary, and Liberty Memorial Central Middle School were scored the lowest in the district. Alicia Erickson is a parent in the district and an outspoken member of the nonprofit Save Our Schools, which is a group of parents, students, and faculty members rallying against these school closures. Both of Alicia's children attend Woodlawn Elementary and Liberty Memorial Central Middle School. She says her daughter will have difficulty if her school closes.
Several of her core classes teachers that have helped her through a really challenging time, and I can't think ahead to what we would do because it's too much.
Even with the district having conducted a survey, many members of Save Our Schools believe they aren't being heard, and there are other ways the district can go about relocating funds besides closing these schools. Many are concerned for their children's reintegration and potential transportation issues if closures occurred. Although composite scores have been released, there haven't been any official statements from the district on what's to come for the closures.
They can look at all of that data and make some determinations, but they have not come to any decisions on which schools.
The board will decide on final recommendations in next week's decision meeting set for Tuesday, February 27th at the Lawrence School District office. For KUJH News, this is Dana Nasser.
40 board members will be deciding on the closure of 2 elementary and 1 middle school to potentially save $300,000 to $400,000 for the district.
Switching gears, we started off this morning with some rain, but it's turned into a beautiful day. Halen Wilhite joins us with a look at the forecast. Halen?
Yeah, so while it did start off with a rainy morning and temperatures climb up into the 60s, it's not going to be all that beautiful once we get into tonight, and especially going into tomorrow. Winter making a full-on comeback with those temperatures, and all because of this low pressure system. It's kind of a dynamic system. It's bringing in a blizzard in parts of the north, severe weather to the east, and of course colder weather from the west. And that cold front is beginning to move through Lawrence right now, so probably we're not at 63 anymore. We're probably already steadily dropping with those temperatures, and it's going to continue to steadily drop over the next several hours, and eventually we're going to be talking about those lows dropping into the 20s. But here's an overall look of what's been going on. So all the rain that we had this morning pushing well off to the east, there was actually a little bit of some severe weather approaching St. Louis, Missouri, prompted for a few severe thunderstorm warnings and a couple tornado warnings. No confirmed tornadoes with that system as of right now, but it did prompt for some warnings, which again, you got a whole spring-like system here. Severe weather to the east, blizzard-like conditions to the north, as they're especially in parts of the Dakotas, as they're going to be seeing quite a bit of some snow. With this incoming system, you can see all these warnings. So you've got winter storm blizzard warnings all the way up to the north. You've got high wind, red flag warnings to the south, wind advisories also to the south as well, severe warnings, and there was that tornado warning we saw earlier just outside of St. Louis. But luckily for us, we stayed out of the severe weather risk, and it stayed further out to the east. Now, there is still the potential we could see just a few pop-up isolated showers and maybe a possible thunderstorm within the next couple of hours, but those chances are going to continue to dwindle down, and eventually going to be dealing with a mostly clear night, but temperatures going to get uglier and uglier. And by the time we start the day off tomorrow morning, we're going to be back into those lower 20s. So, and it's not even going to be feeling like those 20s. We're going to be feeling like those single digits out there, and we're still just not going to be seeing a whole lot of improvement with those feel-like temperatures, because the wind chill going even into tomorrow afternoon will only feel like those lower 20s, and so it is going to be bitterly cold for the next couple days. So taking a look at that class planner, you're going to want those winter coats, even though you were probably in the shorts today and probably for the last couple of days. You're going to want those winter coats for tomorrow and probably for Friday as well, as the high we're expecting for tomorrow afternoon will only be right around 30. Temperatures may struggle to get up to 30 as we're going to be dealing with those sunny skies and blustery winds from the northwest at about 15 to 25 miles per hour and gusts up to 35 miles per hour. But the good news is that we are looking to warm up this weekend, seeing maybe the return of the 50s, but we are tracking our next disturbance going to be arriving once we get into Sunday night into Monday, and this one is a little on the questionable side, especially when it comes to severe possibility. You see, this is one of our long-range FUTURECAST models bringing in a lot of some heavy rain and much needed rain, especially in parts of western and central Kansas where they're still dealing with those severe drought conditions, but certainly we need the rain as well. But there is still that potential. It is still 5 days out, so a lot could change between now and then, but there is that 15 to almost 30% risk for severe weather, which we're going to be monitoring over the next couple of days, but definitely going to be needing the umbrella going into Sunday night, maybe into Monday morning as well. But the good news is that we won't stay in the cold for too long. We'll eventually jump back into the 60s again, starting into the weekend, but eventually maybe dipping back down into the 50s. And, you know, first day of meteorological spring is next week. So this is certainly a spring-like forecast.
Coming up in sports, find out how star center Tiana Jackson has been leading Kansas women's basketball throughout her senior season and what has been the key from start to finish for her senior year.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Welcome back to KUJH. I'm Kyle Mathis. A lot is going on in sports right now. Not only are the two basketball seasons getting closer to the postseasons, but the baseball and softball seasons are just getting underway. Let's start with Kansas softball, who started their season with a 3-2 record through their first 5 games at the Candrea Classic in Tucson, Arizona. Kansas played in the Puerto Vallarta College Challenge last weekend and won 3 of their 5 games played. They took down Cal State Fullerton in a 5-0 thrashing, took down Ole Miss in a pitching duel, with a 2-1 win, and closed it out with a huge walk-off win over Liberty 4-3 on a walk-off single by senior shortstop Haley Harper. Their defeats were against Southern Illinois 2-5 and Sacramento State 1-5. It's been an amazing start to the season for junior catcher Lyric Moore, who leads the team through 10 games played with 12 hits. The Jayhawks will play their next 5 games in the Texas State Tournament in San Marcos, Texas. They will play 4 teams from the state of Texas in the tournament, including the hosts, the Texas State Bobcats. Moving on to baseball, the Jayhawks began the season last weekend in Corpus Christi, Texas, where they won 2 of the 3 games played in the series against the Valparaiso Beacons. They cruised through Game 1 with a 5-1 win, but were defeated 11-3 in Game 2. It was a crucial 3-run home run from sophomore outfielder Chase Jans in Game 3, which ended up being the game-winning run, giving them the 6-4 win. The Jayhawks will play next weekend in Cleburne, Texas, in a 4-game series against the Oakland Bears, which will span 4 days, Friday to Monday. First pitch on Friday will be at 3 p.m. Moving on to men's basketball, the Jayhawks are continuing their hot streak late in the season as they are now on a 5-game win streak. It was a huge comeback win on Saturday over the then 9th-ranked Baylor Bears, 87-71, with College Game Day in town. It was rocking in Allen Fieldhouse. Just listen to this moment.
Pryor short. Harris for Kansas. Ahead to Adams.
Wow. That has got to be close to 120 decibels. The win brought the Jayhawks up to 3rd in the most recent AP Top 25. A huge win on Monday over the TCU Horned Frogs as well, 63-58, continued their win streak and pushed it to 5 games with huge performances from Grady Dick, who had 16 points against Baylor and 19 against TCU, and was Big 12 Newcomer of the Week as well. Kansas will play Saturday afternoon against the West Virginia Mountaineers at 3 p.m. on ESPN It is worth mentioning that Kansas only has 3 games remaining before the start of the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. As for Kansas women's basketball, they continue to march through their conference schedule with the postseason just several weeks away. Senior center Tiana Jackson has been leading KU all season long and has kept the Jayhawks in every game and will look to continue that down the stretch. KUJH's Gus Balow took a look at how Jackson has earned respect throughout the country as one of the top centers in women's college basketball.
For Kansas women's basketball, expectations have been at an all-time high this season, and although it has been a complete team effort, one player's performance stands out. Senior center Tiana Jackson's on-court effort is getting lots of attention as she led the Jayhawks to a 16-9 record with just a few games left in conference play. After transferring from Trinity Valley Community College 2 years ago and having a breakout campaign last season, the senior center has commanded the paint with her length and athleticism, and with her scoring and defense at an elite level, head coach Brandon Schneider understands how much of an impact she has on the entire team.
Obviously, her offensive skill set, her confidence on the offensive end, she has worked herself from one of the most elite defenders, rim protectors, and rebounders in the country to just one of the most elite post players in the country.
Even though she leads the team with 15.9 points per game and 12.2 rebounds per game, her biggest strength is her command of leadership, knowing that if she is at her best, the Jayhawks are also at peak performance.
She needs to take more shots. We know she needs to take more shots. And obviously her defensive presence has been established. So I'd say just both ends of the floor. She's definitely a presence.
With her improvement being noticed in conference play, Jackson has earned that same level of respect across the country as she continues to make strides each game.
I know statistically she's the most improved player in the Big 12, and I would be hard-pressed to find many around the country that have improved more than she has.
Reporting from Allen Fieldhouse, I'm Gus Balow for KUJHNews.
The Jayhawks were most recently defeated by the 15th ranked Oklahoma Sooners on Sunday 80-86. The Jayhawks will play Kansas State in Manhattan tonight at 6:30 and then finish the week off against the Oklahoma State Cowgirls on Sunday at 2 p.m. Both games can be streamed on ESPN+. And camping for this year's men's basketball games is coming to a close, but Kansas Athletics, the KU Alumni Association, and multiple Lawrence businesses teamed up this semester to make that experience pay off beyond just getting seats to the game. KU's Home Hoops Fridays offered a space for students camping out for games to network during the spring semester.
Camping for men's basketball games is a rite of passage for KU students. But this must-do KU experience now offers Jayhawks the opportunity to connect with alumni and local businesses to see what life looks like after college.
The networking is limitless, right? They're able to connect with other fellow Jayhawks through the camping experience, and also the student leaders that are here, because they're the ones that have organized this event. They're promoting this event, and they know what they like. And so with students getting ready to graduate here in this spring, we want to also share with them what opportunities are available once they do circulate out.
Although the event is mainly geared towards benefiting current KU seniors, freshman Jacqueline De Maria found the event useful for her college career.
It gives me a lot of perspective, and of course just a lot of opportunities to get involved here and learn about a lot of the things that KU will give me and that I didn't know about.
Not only is the goal of the event series to provide connections for current Jayhawks, but it also gets student campers pumped up for the games.
The event is truly supposed to be fun, celebratory, and again, we are meeting the campers where they are and giving them something that they can do for fun while they wait.
If you missed this year's Home Hoops Fridays, don't fret, because the event is a spin-off of the original Home Football Fridays, which will return in the fall.
Your last chance to attend Home Hoops Friday for the semester is this Friday at Allen Fieldhouse. That's all for sports for the week. We'll be back after this break.
Thank you, Bella.
That is correct. The Spencer Museum has added some new collections to their gallery during Black History Month. The tour was led by graduate Margaret Brown Peoples, who was a guide through understanding the history of Black expression through art. The new gallery is a positive display of inclusion.
Highlighting what Black people are experiencing, like it's not new, but I think there's a new acceptance to it and space dedicated to those histories and narratives that have often been forgotten about.
Most of the art dates back to prehistoric times in early America. Then, museums were hesitant to portray Black art in their galleries. Now, in the present day, many museums such as Spencer are making room to help reflect the times, allowing those who may not have been reflected in those spaces to have their side of history told.
As far as the Spencer Museum of Art, I think that the artwork on display by Black artists speak to and amplify Black voices.
But the discussion does not end in February. Maggie advises all to keep an eye out for future meetings.
Watch out for the Spencer, like the things that are happening here and being discussed is so expansive than I think and I've been told occurred before.
With the use of imagery, the discussions at the Spencer are in a unique state, as the art is left up to the viewer to interpret the message, which for some can be stronger than the written word. Over to you, Bella.
Thank you, MJ. The exhibit is scheduled to stay open through June 25th.
All right, and to end the show in some lighter note, a daring dog takes on a 12-foot hammerhead shark.
The shocking moment caught on camera. There's no need to jump the shark here. That's because the daredevil dog in Exuma, Bahamas literally did. Passengers on a boat tour caught the moment this brave or foolish potcake jumped directly onto a 12-foot hammerhead shark. So maybe he was just defending his home or was looking for a friendly fish to play with. Either way, the dog escaped the incident unharmed, and hopefully the shark did too.
I would say he's a brave dog.
That is a crazy, I mean, my dog is too much of a scaredy cat.
Do you guys
no
have
way.
dogs? Are they that brave?
No.
I have a cat and he's pretty cowardly, so.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I wish we were in the Bahamas, excuse me. We've had some beautiful weather like the Bahamas, it felt like today. So what should we expect in weather, Halen?
Well, yeah, we enjoyed the 60s the last couple of days, but it's time to bring out the winter coats for tomorrow. But then we're going to be right back into the shorts going into the weekend and possibly next weekend as well. So just got to get through the next couple days.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
And great weather for sports.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, it's going to be fun from the sound of it to go outside and play some basketball next week. But for the weekend and for late in this week, I'd probably just stay inside, maybe play at the rec center. Who knows? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that's all for now. Thank you for watching KUJH. Make sure to tune in next week for more on local news, sports, and weather.
And for more coverage, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and visit our website at tv.ku.edu.